So here are 5 big red flags in any woman you're either considering starting to see or women you're dating right now. The first is a woman who's too much in her masculine. Guys, when I say a woman who is too much in her masculine, I'm talking about a woman who's too controlling and too assertive. I wouldn't even say controlling, I'd say more so assertive, and too used to being dominant, whether that's at work, like she's in a managerial position. I understand that. But the problem with a lot of those girls is they try to bring that into the relationship or the dynamic with the man they're interested in, and they kind of try to control him in a way or try to show that she wears the pants. I can't easily be controlled. And the problem with a woman who's giving you this type of approach is that she's not really that feminine and she won't be able to submit to you, at least not easily. And here's the problem. I personally believe that a man should be in the position of wearing the pants, in a position of power, not in an oppressive way or anything, but just in a way where he's the controlling one and he's the one who calls the shots, generally speaking, not specifically speaking. And when women come over here and try to get that, to try to kind of assert her dominance and show you how she's a free-willed individual. I'm a strong, independent woman. No man can control me. The problem is that causes big problems in the relationships because the dynamic, instead of being a masculine, feminine dynamic, which is a strong dynamic that will lead to success or should lead to success if she's really feminine, he's really masculine, so that electric charge is there. Instead of that, it's kind of like a 50-50 dynamic where the man and woman are 100% equal in terms of their roles. He does everything. He cooks and cleans. He does this, he does that, and she does everything. She also takes care of the babies. She also works. She does this and that. But I don't believe that's a healthy dynamic, because if that's the case, the sexual polarity is completely tarnished and men and women lose their own individuality. And we're acting more so as roommates instead of as partners in a intimate relationship. And also, here's a good, quick, and easy and kind of funny way to determine whether a woman's more masculine or more feminine. And this isn't necessarily 100% accurate, but it is, generally speaking, accurate. When you're on these dating apps and you see some of these girls taking some of their pictures, some of them are nice and soft and they look really feminine. Their smile is nice and radiant. But then other ones that you look at, I swear to God, you're looking at the picture and she's taking a selfie and you kind of think she has like a grumpy face on. You'd think she's a lieutenant in an army or something. She's like this, nice and serious and very grumpy. Some of the pictures are just like, not even like neutral. Like this would be neutral. She's like grumpy, showing you that she's really tough. And the problem is, some of these women think that that's right. That's absolutely garbage. That's wrong. These women, it's kind of funny because my mom, sometimes she's asking me, are you seeing anyone nowadays? And I tell her, no, not really, but I'm open to it. So I'd show her these girls on the dating apps and she'd be like, a lot of them are ugly. Why is she posing like that? Why is she posing like with that serious face on? Where's the nice and feminine, soft type of women that used to exist back in the 50s and 60s? Women who are very soft and feminine and they have an aura of like purity and innocence and beauty. That's what I'm looking for, not like these really harsh women, these masculine women. So that's definitely the first sign that you should look out for when it comes to dating women. The second sign, she is out of shape. You see, guys, no offense to a woman who's out of shape. And also, when I say she's out of shape, I'm not necessarily meaning that the woman has to be 100% slim and she has to be in complete shape and just have a six-pack abs. No, that's not what I'm talking about. But when a woman is super out of shape and she shows no effort whatsoever to either work out, even if it's like once or twice a week, or eat healthy in any aspect, and instead she's extremely overweight, her teeth are garbage, her hygiene isn't the best, she doesn't really look like she's a high value person, she doesn't look like she values herself. The problem with a woman being that out of shape to that extreme is that that indicates a personality flaw in the woman. If she's that out of shape, most likely her life is out of shape as well. Most likely her finances are out of shape. Most likely her other habits besides her eating habits are out of shape, and so on and so forth. So when you think about it, a woman who's really out of shape, I'm not talking about a woman who's necessarily like thick or just a little chubby but also works out. I'm not talking about those kinds of women at all. I'm talking about the women who are really out of shape and aren't even considering changing that in any way. That typically reflects a woman who has a really bad mentality and mindset. And that type of mindset, if you stick around her long enough, it's just gonna be really exhausting and she's gonna weigh you down. It's like if you value being healthy and going to the gym and she values the opposite, it's just gonna work out because it shows that it's a change in values. That's a second red flag. The third red flag, she's way too sarcastic. Now guys, just as a disclaimer, I have nothing against a woman who is sarcastic sometimes and just trying to be funny and trying to be playful with me and like, you know, joke around with me, mess around with me in a joking way. I actually like that. I prefer women who are like that, who don't take themselves too seriously. But there are women out there who are just way too sarcastic about everything and anything. It's literally like, she'd be free to see you. Hey, when are you free to meet? I swear to God, there was this one woman who I was seeing years ago. I was seeing her for a few months. And then during those months, sometimes I'd ask her if she's free to see me, and she'd be free, but just to mess with me, she'd be like, no. And then I say like, LMAO. And then she'd be like, no. I'd be like, no, seriously, like jokes aside, when are you actually free? No, I'm not free. And I would know she's being sarcastic and she's joking, but I just didn't like that type of sarcasm. And then afterwards, she was just like, oh, I miss you, baby, with a heart. It's like, where was this from before? It's just a turnoff when a woman's too sarcastic. Or like if you're trying to get her number off of one of these apps and you've built enough rapport with her and you've talked about a decent amount of things that are igniting in terms of the emotional connection and making her feel stronger towards you, building that rapport. You've done that for some time and then yet still she's being sarcastic. She's making sarcastic comments. Too much of them. It's like, one or two sarcastic comments are cool, but if every other word is a joke or every other word is a sarcastic remark, I don't know. I personally, it's not my type. And usually these types of women, from my experience, are the women who are more manly or masculine in nature, not really super feminine. Typically the feminine and girly women are more allowing. It's like you ask her to go out, she's happy to see you. She's giving you hard eyes. She's giving you a smiley face. She's affectionate towards you. She's romantic towards you. As opposed to the other woman, you kind of feel like you're talking to one of your buddies and she's too sarcastic. It feels like it's kind of like, it's hard to get through to her. Those women, I really don't think that you should deal with because typically they're more masculine and typically just gonna be way too hard to get through to her. That's just my personal opinion. Red flag number 4, women who have daddy issues. Now you see guys, before you judge me, when I say a woman who has daddy issues, I mean a woman who not only necessarily came from a divorced mother and father, I'm talking about a woman whom has or had issues with her father or with another manly figure in her household, in her life, and she's carrying over that thing that is causing toxicity and dysfunction in her life, and she's carrying it over onto you and your dynamic, and she's just like, oh, all men are pigs, all men do is cheat, I can't trust a single man, every single man who is in my life, or my mother's life, or my sister's life, or my cousin's life, all of them were just toxic men, all of them cheated, all of them were pigs. Women with that type of mentality, it's funny because they kind of almost always attract that type of experience into their lives because of their shitty mentality. I'm not saying it's all their fault, but a lot of the times when these women are talking about these situations and experiences, sometimes you kind of feel like these situations don't add up. It's like, that guy left me for no reason. The other guy left my mom for no reason. My friend, he was left by her man for no reason. My cousin was left by a man for no reason. It's like, that kind of sounds sketchy. There's two sides to every story. I'm sure if you'd ask the man that they were each with, then you'd hear a different side of the story. It wouldn't just all be, oh, men are pigs, men are sluts. Yes, I was wrong. Yep, yeah. Oh yeah, I definitely cheated on her. I definitely left her for no reason. I'm sure there's more to it. So typically women with these types of issues, they can have other issues that affect your relationship with her. Maybe she's always gonna make things difficult for you because she has trust issues and she can't open up to you too easily. And it's kind of like you're trying to get through to her, but you can't, just like the previous point. It's like no matter how hard you try to do this, you just can't get through to her because she has those trust issues and she has too much of a big wall there with unrealistic expectations as to how it's going to be broken down. So if a woman has those traits, be cognizant. Not every woman with necessarily daddy issues, I would say, is toxic or dysfunctional, but what I'm saying is the women who apply these things into their dating life or into the man they're interested in, that's a big red flag because it could lead to bad consequences that you really don't like. So that's a 4th red flag. Red flag number 5, she has bad communication skills. Guys, this is a huge one for me. A woman with bad communication skills is just gonna make everything a million times more difficult, way more difficult than it needs to be. And honestly, I just don't need that in my life. Not just women, people in general. A woman who has bad communication skills is the type of woman who might be upset with you about something you did like 2 weeks ago, but it's hurting her so much and she just doesn't want to talk about it because she's not used to talking about it. Maybe because of her childhood, maybe because of situations that happened in her past, maybe situations that she tried to communicate but it backfired. Either way, man, to be firm but fair with you, that's her problem. It's not your responsibility to fix these types of women. It's your responsibility to make her feel as good as possible emotionally by creating that emotional connection and giving her that emotional experience on the date and make her feel nice and comfortable with you. But besides that, if she can't communicate with you like an adult and she can't speak her mind, that's just gonna be so hard for you to deal with long term, because every single problem that arises, it's just gonna lead into a shit show. She's never gonna tell you how she feels. She's the type of woman who would flat out ignore you for days upon days just because she's upset, instead of verbally telling you, I'm mad at you because you did so-and-so. I didn't like how you treated me so-and-so. I didn't like how you forgot so-and-so, how you forgot to do so-and-so. Those are understandable because she's literally telling you how she's feeling and she's communicating it like a mature adult. But instead, when she's going out about it like a kid and she's not telling you about what's bothering her, she's not speaking her mind, she's making everything difficult, that's just a recipe for disaster, because later down the line, what if there's greater issues? What if there's kids involved? What if there's a financial issue? You know what I mean? All those issues, if she can't communicate like an adult right now, how do you think it's gonna be in the future? It's probably gonna be worse because there's way more bigger stakes involved, stakes at risk. So women with bad communication skills, that is an absolute huge red flag. And for me, it's a big enough red flag for me to say, no, I can't do this. That's an absolute must. It's a non-negotiable for a woman to have good communication skills, good and mature communication skills. So that is the fifth and final red flag, guys. Just be cognizant of these things, guys. Next time you're dealing with a woman you're interested in, vet her for these things. Don't be sitting there thinking about, oh, was this number one? Was this number two? Was this number three? No, don't think about it like that. But just keep these in the back of your mind. Make sure she has good communication skills. Make sure she doesn't have huge daddy issues. Maybe she could have minor trust issues. That's okay, but not like huge daddy issues. Make sure she's nice and feminine and girly and sweet and submissive in a righteous way, of course, not in a bad way like some of these people think, like in a sexist, misogynistic way. No. Just make sure she's all those things as you vet her before being in a committed, exclusive relationship with her. And then that way you will have better mental clarity and better decision making, so you can be nice and stoic instead of emotional and reactive about how you choose these things for what specifically you look for in your future partner.